welcome to another Happy Pod, the only podcast that exists in the world or some shit. My name is Nathan. As always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host. His name is Lawrence, and he's going to tell us all what this show is all about.
Nathan! Sorry, I was stretching while I finished that. Nathan, this is the show where each week we get together to discuss something in the realm of pop culture. It could be a movie, it could be a TV show, it could be a video game. But the main thing is that we do so without any of the toxic discourse that is oh so prevalent these days. Can I tell you something?
I guess, yes. Yeah.
So I wanted to add it on so you were thrown off. I realised that I have quite thin walls in my new house. So I'm wondering when my two sets of neighbours are going to find out that I'm a nerd that does podcasts in the evening.
Why don't you tell them to mind their own fucking business?
Yeah, do you know what? Knocking on my door, fuck off.
Yeah, in this hypothetical scenario we've created, all right? Why don't you fuck off?
And if they're listening, I'm sure you're nice, but like, come on, don't be like this.
Have you not brought them around a neighbourly quiche yet?
No, not yet. We have said we've crossed paths, well, with one of them. The other one's moved in quite late, so we haven't really seen much of them yet.
This is outrageous. Oh, wait, okay, so it's not a situation where they were already living there and you've moved in?
No, because we all got the same kind of finish build completion date.
So who's the alpha? Who moved in first?
Us.
You on the street then. Fuck it. That's it. All right? Your rules, okay?
We did choose the best parking spaces.
There you go, yeah.
We're allowed two, and we're here now.
You're the alpha. What do you mean chose the parking spaces? What's the protocol here? What's the... are you putting down a sign saying property of Mr. and Mrs. I do a podcast because I'm a fuckhead?
No, so I got a... well, we have a car that we parked in one of them. So
I'm aware.
That just told everyone, yeah, clear as day. There you go.
Yeah.
The other one is the builders didn't realise the people had moved in, so they kept parking in spaces. And I was like, I put a cone on one. I was like, just don't park in that one.
You put a cone to stop a hard-working construction worker.
He has 8 other spaces available to him. All right, he's fine.
That seems so cunty. That makes you seem like such a fucking Karen. Actually, you can't park here. I think you'll find, because even though it's empty and we don't have a car that would put here, I don't want you hardworking boys who are doing these houses to park here. Actually,
no, but we have people coming round to drop off stuff for us. We were still moving, so we were. No, I care.
Make them walk. All right.
They're not walking. They have to park 1 meter away from where I parked.
You're not a man of the people, clearly. Growing up in your castle, growing up in your ex-mansion. All right.
Oh, and speaking of X, Nathan, like you just said, X-Mania, Wagwan, what are we doing? What are we here to talk about?
All right. We're here to talk about X-Men. What a surprise. What a fucking surprise for everyone, okay? It's X-Men, Days of Future Past, the Rogue Cut. Lawrence, I cannot stress how important this is. Did you watch the Rogue Cut of this movie?
I'm not a child. Yes, I watched the Rogue Cut.
Well, I need to know, all right? Before we get started, I need to understand what we're dealing with here, okay?
I rented it for £3.49 on Amazon Prime.
I pirated it from the internet.
No, they're coming for you. You're not supposed to admit it.
No, it's fine. You can pirate it. You just can't distribute it.
Oh, that's true, yeah. But then there is that split second where after you download it, you start seeding the file. And if you don't turn that off, then you're distributing it.
Well, I was completely fine until you mentioned that. And now I'm incriminated and in jail for life. So, well done. I hope you're happy.
Just ask them if you can take your mic and we can keep up the podcast.
No, all the other prisoners will laugh at me.
No, they can guess. You can get them on.
Oh, hello. Today I'm here with, I don't know, like Shark Tooth or something.
Shark Tooth?
I was trying to think of like a tough prison name, and all I could think of was Shark Tooth.
I'll tell you this, you call anyone Shark Tooth and they will beat you up.
That's a nice name.
It's just lame, isn't it? It sounds like an off-brand X-Men, funnily enough.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I was trying to think of like a tough prison name. Like, I don't know, like Toilet Wine or something.
You can ask them what their crime is. We can have that segment.
I don't think that would be a fun segment, if I'm being honest with you.
And at the end, we can introduce a rating system with do you plead guilty for loving movies?
I hate this bit. Whatever this is, I don't like it. I'd like to move on.
That's fair. We can do that. Yes, I watched the road cut. I've never seen the road cut before.
That's unrelated to what you said. Okay, cool. And now you have. So thank you, Nathan, for introducing you.
The better version of the movie. An already good movie with a much better version attached to it.
Much better version. Why didn't they just make this one? Well, they did.
Yeah.
But why didn't they just release this one, you know? It makes the movie so much better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. My biggest complaint with Days of Future Past was that it got a tiny bit slow in the middle. And then literally, Road Cut were like, what if we had a little segment in the middle that's interesting? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, it's a flawless movie now. I've got no complaints.
I have some complaints. It's good.
Oh, no.
It's good. It's a much better version of the movie, I think. It is, in my opinion, it is. Why is Siri transcribing me? It is the only way to watch the movie. It is the only version.
It just seems greatly improved upon. If you haven't seen it, it's called the Road Cut because primarily the main thing that's
If you
happening
haven't
is
seen
road.
it, stop, watch it, and then come back, okay?
Surprisingly big plot developments happen in this Road Cut that seemingly don't affect the movie too much, but it's good to see them.
There are, obviously, I was going to say, and there are differences between this and the theater. Oh, obviously, you dickhead. But, it changes, like moments with other characters.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
And what I mean by that is, to be specific, there's a scene towards the end of this movie where Magneto is making his way back into the room where Wolverine is after he's had a little fight with the Sentinels, and in the theatrical cut, Blink opens up a portal for him to walk through and get back in the room. But in this cut, Kitty just grabs him through the wall and pulls him back in.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, that's different.
It's minor stuff, but it frees up characters to interact with like other people, and it's just, I don't know, there's something about it that just seems more interesting. And I think that I think the biggest effect it has is that in the original, while I don't see it as a bad thing, the older X-Men, the dystopian future X-Men, their main role is to kind of sit and wait for the end of the movie. Whereas in this one, they're like, something's gone wrong in the past. What can we do here to help? And it just makes them more active.
Yeah. It's good.
It is a good movie. Is that your general thoughts? Is this like top tier X-Men for you?
It's a good movie. Is what I'll say. I have to obviously toe the line and not get too excited because it was unfortunately directed by a pedophile. Okay, we are unfortunately back in the X-Men movies directed by a pedophile era. Okay,
we're back in the nonce era, the ex-nonce,
era. Okay, we are unfortunately in that, so we do have to address that and mention that, and just put that as a disclaimer there. So I'm not gonna, talk about that too much, but it is. Unfortunately, a good movie, though.
It's one of them things which it's unfortunate, but I always like to look at it as there's so many other people that work on a movie. There's so many people that bring a movie together that it's just like and also it's worth mentioning that none of his other movies were as good as this one. So I feel like some help was was called out upon.
X-Men 2 is pretty good, man.
It is. I don't know if it's better than this. I don't know. I think this one is easily the best we've seen so far.
Really? You're saying this is
yeah.
better than First Class?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's more.
Wow, bold claim.
It's more focused and out there. Than
You
First
love
Class.
the twisted mind of Matthew Vaughn.
I do.
You love his movie Kick-Ass 2.
Stop! Why do you always say this?
You love it.
I like so many of that man's movies, and that's the one I don't like.
It's not even his movies.
It's not. Fuck's sake! Why did I let you bully me on this for so long?
You love Kick-Ass 2 when he kisses that little girl. You cheer every time.
Yeah, there we go. It's the good joke Nathan's making. Very good.
It is a good joke, actually. So
okay.
Anyway, so the year is 2023, seemingly.
Yeah.
Because they say like it's 50 years after 1973. So this movie was set 1 year ago.
Yeah, my dad was born in 1950. Oh, no. You said 73. My dad was born in 53.
That's fucking old, man.
He's well old, man. Yeah, he's love him, though. He's good.
He's a good lad. We shout out Keith. We love Keith. My dad was born in 1971.
Damn. Young man.
Not really. He's like 53. Not really
That's
a young
spring
man.
chicken compared to my dad, though.
Well, yeah. Your dad was fucking... Anyway.
I didn't like the look. I didn't know where you were going, but I didn't like the look.
It wasn't
in your
anywhere nice.
Okay. Well, then I appreciate you holding back.
Yeah. So what's going on? There's mutants. It's the future.
The future. Yeah. Oh god,
Mutants.
this movie is so quotable with Patrick Stewart's big old voice.
Yeah. So in a way, this is like kind of the first multiverse movie before the era of multiverse movies, isn't it?
Probably is. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think of it.
Because it's the previous X-Men cast with the new young X-Men cast. We're joining forces. It's a crossover. This is obviously, we don't get this movie without obviously Avengers 2012, because this is obviously Fox going, right, we need our big crossover.
Respond.
Respond quick. What have we got? We've got X-Men. Okay.
Yeah.
What can we do with X? We've got 2 casts of X-Men, you say. Put them together. Do it now.
Yeah,
there we go.
I love the concept that they would been Marvel had been steadily building to the Avengers for some time, and it's worth noting that 20th Century Fox hadn't been absolved by them at this point, so they were very much a competitor in this superhero movie making space, and I love the idea that 20th Century Fox had 2 full casts of X-Men, probably all still under some degree of a contract and ready to go.
I don't think so.
Not the older lot?
No way.
I was saying that they all made 3 movies, didn't
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
Why would Halle Berry still be under contract?
All right, well, either way, they had them ready to go, and it's not a hard sell to be like, do you want to make a couple million? Come and be in this movie. They had 2 casts of X-Men and not a single idea other than this one. Like,
They had an idea.
no, because they'd written themselves into a bit of a corner, I think, because you can't maximize profits by just continuing First Class, because you don't have that kind of nostalgia pull. You have nowhere to go with the new X-Men because they're all dead, pretty much. Or the older X-Men, sorry. So, I don't know. I like that they took a risk on this. I think it probably is the first multiverse kind of movie. Do you remember 2014, the year of our Lord, when this came out?
It was 10 years
It
ago.
was fucking... Yeah, 10 fucking... That's wild.
Yeah.
That is quite insane. God, it was a different time. We had, I think, the superhero movies we had that year, there were 3 of them, I think, which were Guardians, Winter Soldier, and this. And they were all good.
Yes, they were. Yes. There was more, surely.
I don't know. What did DC...
Was there no DC offerings? Probably not, though, actually.
No, Man of
because-
Steel was 2013.
Yeah, Man of Steel was 2013. Batman v Superman wasn't until like 2016. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, okay.
So, yeah, solid offerings. I liked it when we got multiple superhero movies a year and they were all good. Like, at the very least, they're good.
What have we had this year? What have we had this year?
What have we had? Was the Marvels this year?
No, it was last year.
It was last year.
Has it just been the one?
Deadpool Wolverine, yeah, I think so.
Was there no DC movies this year?
No, don't believe so, because Snyderverse is dead and
Snyderverse
James Gunn's
is
still
dead.
cooking.
Yeah. Aquaman was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was late last year, I want to say.
So, yeah, we have only had one this year.
Fuck.
There you go. You got your wish.
Took 10 years, they milked them dry. There's nothing left. All right, so why do you think this is good? Can we do I want to hear what your criticisms are first, which is unusual, but kind of because everyone unanimously thinks this is pretty sick, right? It's not perfect.
As no movie is perfect.
Oh, I don't know. I think some movies are perfect.
No, there is no movie that is perfect. No movie.
I don't know.
No, it's just, there is no movie that is 100% flawless. In that there's not some little. You can say that's a 10 out of 10 amazing movie, and you can say that continuity error doesn't bother you or whatever. But there is no 100% flawless perfect movie. Okay.
So is that something that bothers you in this? Is it a continuity error?
No, it's more silly little things. I feel like Stryker is too young. Okay.
Yeah.
Stryker seems like a little boy. Okay. And and also again, this is our 3rd actor to play Stryker, and then they're like, but he is Brian Cox. Okay. And then, but then at the same time, this is like set kind of at the same time as Origins of Wolverine, which I guess has just completely been stricken from the record, though, entirely. Because, there was, there's flashbacks and stuff, but it's not to that movie at all. There's not a shred of that in this. And obviously Stryker's been recast and stuff. So, and, that's fine. That's for the better, okay? And obviously, this is during Vietnam where Wolverine's brother was making questionable choices and stuff.
Yep.
So, Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on.
I think in that sense, though, I think whilst it is a joke and it's like a lauded over meme that the X-Men just can't keep their fucking movies straight for 1 second, or their timeline or whatever, it does work for the fluidity of this. This movie wouldn't really exist without the need to kind of reset the universe a little bit before they went and fucked it all over again immediately after. But like
immediately just like I cannot stress how like immediate it just gets fucked over.
Immediately after, straight away, yeah. I'll tell you what, right, while we're kind of on general stuff, right, I think the opening of the movie is so fucking sick.
What's the opening of the movie? Tell me about it.
The Terminator 2 style fucking dystopian Earth, robots dropping from the sky, kind of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Right, it's fucking, I don't know, man. I think
Who's that boy? Who's that little boy?
He's a little hopeful boy, Nathan. He hopes that the X-Men will save him. He sees their little badge or whatever.
Who is he?
I don't know who he is. He's just a guy.
I want to know. They should have told me his name.
They should have slapped it like a card on the screen.
Yeah.
This is Derek.
Great. Well, now I know.
Derek hopes for a better life.
No, it's a very cool opening. And what is very cool is we get like reintroduced to some of the older X-Men cast. We see Bobby again, we see Kitty again, we see Colossus, and we obviously see some new characters. We get Bishop, which is like a big, fan favorite character, finally getting introduced. We have Sunspot, we have Warpath, we have Blink, all very cool. And then we just see them die. We just see them all just get killed and fucked up. We're like, oh shit, we're not messing around here. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and it's brutal as well. Like the obviously you have like the future version of the Sentinels where they're like upgraded and they have like Mystique's abilities and stuff, so they can adapt and transform and all this kind of stuff. And it's like I think it's cleverly well done how like one of them is like fighting against Sunspot and one of them is fighting against Bobby at the same time, and then they kind of like just like swap powers to defeat the other one, basically, which is very cool, very interesting.
That's like something in this movie that people apparently had a problem with. The Sentinels are very like inaccurate to how they normally are in comics or something. I don't know if that's true.
Well, they are, but I don't mind the future version of the Sentinels because they're the future, they can adapt. That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
The past version of the Sentinels is just they don't look like the Sentinels, and the Sentinels is like an iconic look. Sure, it's a little goofy. It's like it's a big robot man, but like,
yeah,
it's the 70s. Make a big goofy robot man,
They could have got away with it, for sure. But no, I think, like you say, the opening, the fact that they all die, it's the... do you remember how you felt in watching Infinity War when suddenly Hulk gets a punch down from Thanos and then they snap Loki's neck in 5 minutes? And you just kind of go, oh, it's a different thing going on here.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like, I like the fact that they're all fighting back and they're fighting hard. Like, they're fighting desperately.
I still can't believe people say, like, there's no way Thanos should have been able to beat up Hulk because Hulk is so much stronger. When, like, they clearly show... This is completely unrelated, but this is always annoyed me. The way that people are like, the Hulk is clearly stronger, but the movie clearly shows that Thanos is a better technical fighter. Like, he clearly knows what he's doing, where the Hulk is just raw rage who doesn't actually know how to fight,
Yeah. He's unfocused aggression, whereas Thanos is like, weave in and under, uppercut.
Yeah, exactly.
Left punch. Yeah.
Anyway, shut up, nerds.
Yeah, speak your truth, King. Go off.
I will.
But yeah, no, I just think the mutants are, the X-Men are all fighting back and they're fighting pretty hard, and it's like, what I really like about the opening is that it's a coordinated attack and they're still getting slaughtered left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Like, it's still not enough. And little moments like the very brief momentary eye contact between Bobby and Kitty as they kind of cross paths in the battle.
They are together. I said so.
They're together, yeah.
We had this discussion in the run-up. We were like, are Bobby and Kitty together in X-Men Days of Future Past? They are. I was right. You're wrong. How does it feel, Lawrence?
Did I ever say they weren't?
You was. Yes, you did. That might not be true, but in my head, that's the case.
Okay, well, I'm glad you won.
You're always trying to bring me down.
But those tiny little moments, they sell it so good. Like, it just makes you feel like the X-Men are fucked, and they know they're fucked.
Colossus's death is brutal, man. They like just
fucking
step on his head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's brutal. And you just see the big dent in his head afterwards, man. Oh, poor guy. Poor little metal guy.
All right, so yeah, the conceit of this all, because we'll kind of, my notes are all over the place.
And as usual, mine are non-existent.
Okay, well that's good then.
Yeah.
So they have to send Wolverine back in time, and the whole thing is that if Mystique ends up shooting a guy, then the world realize that mutants are bad, and they develop Sentinels and carry on with his work in Trask's honor. And it leads to this dystopian future. So they send Wolverine back in time to enlist the help of Charles and Eric to be like, let's stop Raven killing someone.
Do you like it when older Charles and Eric and everyone in the future, they're all talking about the plan and discussing what should happen and stuff, and Charles is like, I knew her as Raven when we were younger, and no one's like, you never fucking mentioned this. You never brought this up. We've been fighting her for years, Charles. You should have mentioned this at one point.
Yeah, I mean, look, we know why. We get it.
Yeah.
But like, I think that's one of this movie's strengths, that it can expand on the work of First Class. Like, this is the first movie where all the main old cast have come back, and we have the knowledge of everything Matthew Vaughn changed. And it's, I think it works quite nicely in this. Like, and also, like, James McAvoy has given a great performance as Charles, and you kind of see Patrick Stewart reflect that a little bit as well. Patrick Stewart's Charles seems more interesting now.
Do you know the first day of filming that they did was the two Charles scene?
Fuck off, seriously.
Yeah, the very first thing they shot for this movie was the James McAvoy and Patrick Stewart scene. Yeah.
Ease him in, why don't you? Jeez. I mean, I know he's got one performance as Charles under his belt, but staring down the lens of Patrick Stewart's eyes, that's a bit rough.
That must have been pretty fucking tough for the guy. Anyway, the future. So Wolverine goes back in the past. He goes back in time. He time travels.
And he's looking as juiced as humanly possible.
What an enormous man. Didn't I say this? Didn't I say
Yeah, you did, yeah.
When he gets out of the bed, what an enormous man that is.
Yeah.
And his veins are all like, just look at me. I am so fucking juiced and growthed out of my head right now.
Those veins are pulsating, ready for the next dose. They are like,
Jesus
feed
Christ.
me, Wolverine.
That is an insanely large man right there.
He's a big man with a tight can. You see that bum?
You're always bringing up his bum.
But this time, it's the first time you see it full on in his close up.
It's true. Yeah. He is there with his bum. Yeah, I know. There's something very funny to me about Wolverine, kind of hero Wolverine, going back in time to stop the destruction of the world and just immediately killing 3 men.
Yeah.
The first thing he does is just immediately slaughters 3 men before he carries on, you know?
That's how he relaxes himself.
Yeah.
That's how he gets the grip of it all.
It's good stuff, though. He's got his bone claws back. Because he does.
Looking sick. This is one of Wolverine's best looks. I mean, we can save the whole look for X-Strip, but he looks sick in this movie.
I have to agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's obviously, he hasn't had the adamantium procedure yet, so he's just got his bone claws out. He's doing some like mob boss work, I guess. He's doing some work for like the mafia or some shit, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this guy walks in and is like, hey, we're not supposed to sleep with the boss's daughter. And he's like, what did you think he was in here doing for that long?
And why does he go? Why does he think they'll understand the complexities of the time travel? Like, why does he try to explain that, oh no, it wasn't him, it was the old version of him. He just got here from the future.
I think that's honestly part of Hugh Jackman's charm as Wolverine, because he never he does try and explain that, but he knows if he's not careful, because if it comes down to a fight, he'll kill them all immediately.
Oh yeah. And
he's just figuring it out himself a little bit, and if when they're like, let's waste this fool,
and also, why would they even attempt that? Even if they didn't know, which I find hard to believe, because this guy's clearly doing work for the mafia for a reason. Okay, they hired this guy for a fucking reason, all right? But even if they didn't know that he was the Wolverine, okay? Even if they didn't know, then just look at him. All right, just look at him and look at you, okay?
Yeah, he's obviously there to be a bullet sponge fucking enforcer. Like, the fact that you would even try and attempt to just land one on him is a bit silly, in my opinion.
Insane, yeah. So he goes to see the professor. He goes to the X Mansion. He goes to the one of two X Mansions we see in this movie. Do you notice this?
I didn't notice it, but
it's different at certain times in the movie. It's a different mansion. It changes in the same movie, Lawrence. Okay.
When are the differences? What happens?
When Wolverine pulls up to this mansion, okay,
Yeah.
it's like it's the mansion they use from this point on. Okay, it's the mansion we see in the next few movies. It's the X Mansion. Okay, when we see it later in the movie, like from a bit of a distance, and then we see it in the future as Bobby and Eric go to it. It's the mansion from First Class, which is an entirely different mansion.
Are they doing like a time thingy there?
No,
like
no, there wouldn't be. No. It's just two different mansions. Okay, it's just two different buildings. Okay,
just the location manager fucked the date up, basically.
Yeah. It's just two different buildings.
No, but he does go there. He meets Hank and Charles. My God, James McAvoy. This started an obsession I had with James McAvoy back in the day.
Really?
I was very intrigued about his work.
This? Not Shameless?
Not Shameless. Never watched Shameless.
You're a wrong'un.
Sorry.
Not Narnia?
No, not Narnia. Why would Narnia encapsulate me?
Because you're like who's this weird little goat man?
Yeah, he is, but I wouldn't say that's as gripping as this. I think James McAvoy in this movie is fucking incredible.
Why this movie? Not X-Men First Class?
No, he's great. He's great in First Class as well, but there's something about mixing his like I guess it's a kind of a conceit of both of them, but seeing who he was in First Class and then kind of expanding on him in this way, which is different. He's got a shaggy hair, he's got a bit of a stubbly beard going on, he's in like pajamas, like his 70s pajamas. He's just a complete shell of who he was.
Not Wanted, starring Angelina Jolie.
Fuck, how long were you sat on that waiting for me to stop talking?
Quite a while.
I can tell. No, I just think he's like a really interesting character to watch in this movie. I think I definitely see what you mean about when you said First Class was Magneto and this was for Charles, this movie.
I think the interesting thing they did with this movie, and I kind of hate it and like it at the same time, is like the serum that Charles has, okay, which first of all makes no sense because it's a physical spinal injury, okay, but whatever, all right.
Yeah.
The serum he has, which magically can make him walk again but takes away his powers.
Plot juice,
yeah. They kind of like, it's heroin. Basically, they kind of like turned him into a heroin addict with it, and like the way it's shot, and with his pupils dilating, and the way he's like fucking itching for a fucking shot and everything like that. He is an addict, and this is his drug. And it's really interesting the way they decided to go down that route with it, and he does play it very well, really.
Yeah, and I think it's because it's such a 180 from the end of First Class, like. Charles lost half of his students to Eric at the end of First Class. Mutants were, well, not public, but like government bodies knew of them and were kind of actively pursuing them as threats rather than people that could be worked with. And like, you have all of that, he lost his legs. Well, he didn't lose them, but he's lost the ability to use his legs at the end of that movie. And then even Hank saying to Wolverine, like, yeah, he like we saw him at the end of First Class. He was in his wheelchair. He was like, I hope I don't go bald, still quite optimistic and everything. And then Hank says to him in this, and then Vietnam, and then Raven, like, just completely went off the deep end, lost contact with him completely. Like, it's all adding up, and slowly I love that bits of who he is and his core beliefs are just being chipped away. And now, like you say, he's just an addict. He's an addict in a big house with nothing to do.
Yeah. It's brutal, and it's really well played by James McAvoy. Nicholas Hoult, Hank is a little bitch, isn't he? He's just his enabler, isn't he? He's like, oh, I know he shouldn't be doing this. I know it's bad for him, but here's your dose. I put in a little bit extra in here so you can get extra fucked up. All right. Yeah. Fuck off, you little blue cunt.
You weren't needed that, yeah.
Also, this is the start of like. Oh, I really hate what they've done with Beast in the X-Men movie. They've essentially turned him into the Hulk, okay? Because you gotta have handsome Nicholas Hoult, okay? You gotta get his face. He doesn't want to sit in a chair for like fucking 6 hours. Whatever, that's fine. I get that. But like, it's the you can turn it on and off whenever he wants and stuff. And it's like, that's a fundamental part of Beast, you know? He doesn't pick and choose when he can go blue. He doesn't just fucking stab himself with a needle and now he's the Beast, you know? He is the Beast at all times. It's who he is. And yet he can still teach a class and be a science boy and do all this sort of stuff, you know?
Yeah, I think. Look, call me. I've just looked it up.
All right.
Call me.
Let me kill you if you disagree with me in any way.
No, I don't disagree at all. I actually think that I think you're being generous. If anything,
Okay.
I think that he doesn't want to sit in a chair for 4 hours at the start of every shoot day or whatever. I get it. But you're playing a character called Beast who looks blue and hairy, and you're getting paid millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like
Do it.
Do it, man. Like, I'm not being funny. I'd sit in a chair for a fucking week for $1 million.
Yeah.
Like,
same.
I don't really understand that whole kind of rhetoric of like, woe is me, makeup is so tough. And it is. I'm not saying it's fucking easy. So probably annoying to sit still in a chair and then do a full day's worth of work.
Listen to a podcast. Listen to this podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Listen to this episode like 2.5 times or something.
While we yell at you.
Yeah, and remember what you've done.
Yeah.
Or I'll tell you what, this would be enough for me. Open your banking app and look at the money you've received to be sat in that chair and then go, probably you're right, to be fair.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I actually, it's not just a symptom of this movie. I like Nicholas Hoult as Beast, but I think neither him nor Kelsey Grammer make an effort to be like each other's Beast at all. And so, like, even when you see Kelsey Grammer at the end of this, and he's like, oh, close your mouth, Logan, or flies will get in. I'm like, I don't believe Nicholas Hoult would have cracked that joke at all. I feel like he's a melt.
No, to be fair, there is 50 years between them. Okay.
There is, but you can see Eric. You can see Eric and young Eric. You can see Charles and young Charles.
It's true.
Like,
You can.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if they go with any of them, it should be Kelsey Grammer because he's so good, man.
It's a much better performance.
When he shows up at the end for like 1 second, he's like, "Morning, Logan, starting late today." I don't know why I always give him a British accent. He's not British, but
No.
he has that aura about it.
He does, yeah.
He's like, "Morning, Logan, starting late today, are we?" And I'm like, "Oh, you're so good. I love it, man."
It's because he and it's so frustrating because he walks past. We've had a whole movie of like somewhat passive, not really much engaged Beast.
Yeah.
Right. I would say, no disrespect to Nicholas Hoult, the least interesting character in the whole movie. Of the main players, anyway.
Of the main players.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. I don't know. I like some of his stuff. But
Yeah, I do too. I like some stuff that the Road Cut has added. But
yes, I do too.
Yeah.
But
it's, when you watch Kelsey Grammer just walk past, because the shot is him literally tracking him walk past and then he walks out of frame and you're like, come back, Kelsey Grammer, please.
immediately just so much more just fucking this is not a word I enjoy, but sauce to the character, you know?
No, it is, but he has more
Aura.
It's more of a character.
Yeah.
Or at least a more interesting one. And look, no discredit to Nicholas Hoult. I think Nicholas Hoult is great. I just think he's miscast in this role, to be honest. He fit the vibe of First Class, but he feels out of place here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who is not out of place, and if anything should be more in place and in more scenes. What do you make of Evan Peters' Quicksilver in this?
Peter Maximoff.
Yeah.
Hate that. Okay.
My mom once knew a guy that could do that.
Although the Road Cut does add a hint towards Wanda.
It does, yeah.
Which
Well, you see, that's always in the movie, but you never see her talk. She's Quicksilver's just hugging her at the end.
I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about his little sister because her mum, the mum says to his little sister, "Go upstairs and annoy your sister."
I missed that. That's
so
cool.
there is an older sister, presumably a twin, which is just never mentioned again. So there we go.
That is fun. That is quite cool, to be fair.
One of 3 potential Wandas we get in this universe. 2 of them in the same movie. although one of them
Nice.
wasn't really. But there we go. Yeah, it's the thing with Quicksilver is it's very funny because I remember 2014 and I remember in the run up to this movie there was the marketing and the shots of Quicksilver were released and it was Evan Peters in that fucking stupid silver jacket and his little goggles and his hair and everything like that.
Yeah.
And you're like, who the fuck is this fucking dork? Okay. And at the same time, we had Age of Ultron coming out the following year, okay?
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
had the other Quicksilver. We had big, beefy, manly Aaron Taylor Johnson in his little running shirt. And we're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the real. This
Got
is
like a
the
silver lightning stripe on
like,
it.
this is the man's Quicksilver. This is the alpha Quicksilver. Everyone's going to love this Quicksilver so much better than this weedy little fucking nerd. And then we all saw X-Men Days of Future Past and we're like, oh, shit. Okay.
Oh no!
Oh no! That was pretty fucking amazing.
Go on.
He's so much fun. He's so great. Riddled with ADHD, obviously, which makes complete fucking sense considering he's living his life so much faster than everyone else. Like that, his mum's just like essentially given up. She's like, oh, what the fuck has he done now? You know, and he then down in the basement he's just got like TVs that he's stolen and like a wall of Twinkies
Just
or
for
some
fun.
shit. Just for fun as well. Yeah. And he's like hacked to like an arcade Pong machine so it runs faster as well and stuff.
Yeah.
Bit of fun.
It's I tell you what, it might be some of the casting is their strong point, right? I will say, especially in the run of new recent movies, or not recent, but like what we're talking about recent. They are so on point with the casting, and I think this Quicksilver is like genuinely great. Like it's a real stop in moment of the movie. You go, here's the Quicksilver 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then we move on. And it's so effective and so good. And he's like, it's also a good characterization, I think. Like he's kind of just a quirky kid in the 70s, like you say, riddled with ADHD. But like when you get to see the scene, the infamous time in a bottle scene, it's so well done. And it's so like, it's such an interesting thing into his character. Cause like you see him living his, well, firstly, I think it's a really good depiction of super speed. Like, I think it got overdone, but when you think about what we had at the time, this was a really interesting way of doing it.
Yeah.
And then I certainly think they started overcompensating to match these kinds of scenes in later movies, in like Apocalypse especially.
Yeah.
But like right here, it's great. Like his kind of relatively like peaceful viewpoint of this ensuing chaos. There's knives flying, the sprinklers are going, bullets are in the air, and he's just taking time to make himself have a little chuckle. Like he's doing little jokes. He's taking a man's hat and putting it on just for a laugh. Like I think
he's taking a souvenir for himself there.
Yeah, it probably is for his little weird warehouse, or not warehouse, little basement. But like, I don't know. I tell you what, I think it's just that this, ironically enough, this is going to sound like I'm making a joke, right? But I think more superhero movies should take the time to slow down like this, like to infuse a bit of charm like this into their stuff.
Do they not?
I'm
struggling. I see what you're saying. Like, don't get me wrong, it's a good scene. I enjoy it very much, but I'm struggling to see like where this is like groundbreaking and the only movie to have ever done this.
No, I don't mean the only movie ever. I think there's like, James Gunn does this quite well. Like, there's lots of fun sequences where Yondu gets to use his little whistle arrow, and like that's really. I'm talking about specific superheroes using their powers, and it's done not only interestingly, but also you just take a breather to sit with them while they do their thing.
Yeah.
Like, as far as I'm aware, I don't know if it's how accurate this is, because again, I haven't seen it, but I'm aware that Gambit gets a moment like this in in Deadpool Wolverine, like a kind of a spotlight on him using his powers.
Kind of.
No, not like this.
Not like this. No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that, yeah, it maybe not groundbreaking. Maybe that's the wrong word, but it's a good bit of charm, and it's just a fucking amazing scene, really.
Yeah, it's good. I don't think I love it as much as you. I feel like we're at a sort of Incredibles moment here, and this changed your life again. And for me, it's fine. Okay, like I like it. Don't get me wrong. I think it's good. I think it's a good scene, but I don't think it's anything like true. If I'm being honest, I probably do prefer the Apocalypse version to this. Now, don't get me wrong. I do kind of also have issues with the Apocalypse version, but I do kind of prefer it a little bit to this. I think it's more fun in a way, and obviously they like made it more fun because like it was the big thing that everyone enjoyed from this movie, so they were like, oh, let's make it bigger and everything, and so like I get it.
Bigger and louder kind of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, it's fine. If I'm honest, it's not even what I prefer the most from Quicksilver in this movie, really.
Oh, really?
I like the other stuff. I like the little interactions, like when he grabs Eric from the Pentagon, and he's just the way he interacts with him, and he's just like just holds his head before they run out, and then the way he's like, Eric is like, fucking hell, I need a minute, after just being whizzed down the hallway, and he's just like, what'd you do, man? What'd you do? Come on, what'd you do? 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 And Eric's just like, for fuck's sake, what is going on?
I really like it when a mutant can come into a movie and rattle Eric.
Yeah.
Like, because he's the one that will pull no punches, and his power is incredibly impressive and can do pretty much anything he wants it to.
Yeah.
Because they're really creative with how they write its uses. But yeah, like, it is funny to kind of just see him perplexed look up at Evan Peters, and he just put, like, it's a guard who kind of like smiles at him, puts his hands on the thing, and just starts really quickly vibrating the glass with his hands, and you can see Eric being like, what the fuck is going, what's this?
and then Eric like eventually goes, I killed the president, he says, and he just goes, fucking hell, like, whoa. Even looks back at the guard he's got taped up, like, whoa.
Yeah. This is a bit more serious than stealing Twinkies or whatever.
It's good. No, I enjoy it. I also enjoy, like, in the run up to the time in the Immortal scene where, like, just showing how fucking useless Charles is without his powers. When they're like trying to get out of there, and he's like, we need everyone to evacuate because we're with the CIA, BCD, FBI, and Wolverine's just like, oh, for fuck this, and just grabs a pan and starts beating the fuck out of them, which I enjoy.
It's a very fun look at their relationship in a microcosm, isn't it? Like, Charles taking the diplomatic route where Wolverine's just the blunt object. I like that though. It's those tiny little details I think the film does well. Like like Quicksilver has a speed burn across his doormat, or his mum's doormat, and Wolverine Charles can't lie because he's never needed to. He's never had to tell a fib in his life. Yeah, like, so, well, if he can, he doesn't need to be convincing because he can just mind them to believe it or whatever. Yeah, but yeah, it's those fun little moments. Yeah,
and then I enjoy, like, after that, he's like, oh, sorry, I'm not that good with violence. Elevator doors open, immediately sees Eric and just fucking clocks him straight away. I like that.
It's the way that I'm looking at you, Charles. Bang. Yeah.
Oh, you're walking again. Good to see.
Both of them are doing strong accent work in this.
They are. We mentioned this a little bit not last week, but the week before, when we was with Brian and David. But, like, in First Class, Michael Fassbender still had a bit of his natural Irish twang to his version of Eric, which seems to have gone entirely. It's now very, very British, very young Ian McKellen, basically, which I guess you have to, considering they're in the same movie together.
Yeah,
really.
But when I think he's spoken about this, and he said, like, when you're next to each other, well, they don't have any scenes together, but, like, when you're cutting back and forth, as the road cut does introduce in a great scene as well, when you're cutting back and forth and these characters are talking, it's like, what happened to your Irish accent, mate?
Yeah. It is obviously going to be more noticeable in this, so yeah, I can see why they do, but I do think it's a change for the better, though. It does make sense that he just has this voice. I like it. It's good.
Charles is just doing his First Class voice, if anything, a bit posher.
I think this is the first time I noticed James McAvoy has a ginger beard. I was like,
oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, all right, it makes sense that James McAvoy has a ginger beard because he's a beautiful Scottish man, okay. But should Charles have a ginger beard? I don't know about that.
I completely agree. It feels wrong.
Yeah, it does.
But I raise you the point. Impeccable vibes.
Yeah, I feel like you might be a little bit biased in this situation.
No,
as a red bearded man.
Do you know what? I'm so devastated that I missed out on my prime skinny man era.
Okay.
Right, of not
You can get back there.
not adopting this look. No, but like I don't have the hair. If I get skinny again,
you can't get the
I won't
hair
have the
again.
hair.
Yeah, that's long gone for you. That's Joe.
That will never. But there was a time it was possible. You remember me with my bouffant doos.
Yeah, but they were tall. They were not long though.
No, but if ever I wanted them to be long, they could have.
They could, but you didn't.
But I never did, and I'm annoyed. I never tried to kind of. I mean, I would have looked horrendous because I wouldn't have been able to pull it off because he had a stylist that probably cost a couple million or whatever. But
yeah.
I just think Charles. We'll get to it in next strip, but the vibes on Charles are immaculate. I will say.
Sure.
He's a rugged, handsome man.
He is a rugged, handsome man. We have often kind of made fun of the scene in the plane where Eric and Charles have a little spat.
Not really for any reason. It's not a bad scene.
It's not a bad scene. If anything, it's quite a good scene. We just enjoy the way Michael Fassbender just starts going, Azazel, Banshee, Emma.
And starts simultaneously crashing the plane just out of spite as well.
Yeah. And I love the fact that throughout all these movies, it's the running gag of Wolverine just fucking hating flying. Okay,
yeah.
I don't know why, but I really enjoy that so much. I really like it. And like as the plane starts going down the way, he just grips onto the table like fucking hell. Here we go. I love it. It's good. It's good stuff.
It's it is fun when the plane starts. This is the first time I think he's got the cause for it as well because it actually starts crashing. Because of Eric, and it's very fun to watch him be like fuck. Like he doesn't get up and beat him up or anything, which is normally what Wolverine would do.
Yeah. Then afterwards, he's just like, "You want to pick all that shit up?" I love that.
Yes. Yeah. I tell you, I do like that. This is kind of what First Class did, but this movie has more kind of. It puts a bit more meat into it, I think, is the relationship between Charles and Eric, and they're very much like...
These further, like, really... This emphasizes my point more, my criticism of First Class more, I think, because, like, they, like, really fuck it... Well, Charles more than Eric, but, like, that relationship is really fractured, and at the start of this movie, Charles really fucking hates Eric. He, like, feels so betrayed by him, and you just can't... He does, yeah, and you just can't help but feel like you're missing context to it, because, like, again, it was like a month. It was a couple of weeks or something, and like, it's always been described as this, like, lifelong friendship that lasted years, and they built the school by hand together, and they sought out the students, and I'm just like, oh, why didn't we get any of that? I just can't help but feel a little cheated, a little bit, really.
Well, I think that's a fair point. I think having watched this as well, because again, I hadn't seen this movie in a while, but like, I don't think for 1 second the X-Men knew what they were doing. That 20th Century Fox have never ever learned to walk before they can run.
No, that's true.
But they if this is where they were heading, I get you want to have Charles loses the ability to walk at the end of it. I get you want to have the fallout at the end of it. I get all of that. But if they were really kind of careful in setting up kind of a trilogy of these prequel movies, and this could still stay pretty much exactly the same. But imagine if it opened with, since the school shut because of the Vietnam War, Eric has just kind of gone MIA and is now just doing shit. And Charles, this is the movie that kind of addresses their fallout, because they spend a lot of it together having an argument and having a row. There's no reason why they couldn't be like business partners. By the end of this movie, they've completely lost contact.
Yeah.
Like, because they even do it at the end of this movie. They, Charles and Eric part ways again at the end of this movie, and this will keep happening. They'll keep parting ways at the end of every fucking movie.
They part ways as friends in one of them.
Pretty sure that's Apocalypse, because Magneto switches sides.
Yeah.
He's like, this guy's pretty cool. We'll get to that movie. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and what I remember, I wasn't a fan of. I'm sensing a hot take.
Maybe.
Oh, Okay. There's fun bits. It's not a horrendous movie. I just think that there was bits of it that needed
We'll
work.
get to it, Lawrence. Trust me, we're in no shortage of X-Men movies to talk about, okay?
That's true. That's very true.
Peter Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage. What'd you make of it? Not the Trask we saw from one of the other ones.
Very different from the Trask from X-Men 3.
I think, didn't we say two quite distinguishing differences?
Two very big differences between these characters. Also between the actors who play this character. Yes. I'm all right, miss your mouth there a little bit.
I
didn't
did
you?
a little bit. I hope you wouldn't notice. It's a black t-shirt. I thought I could get away with it.
No, he saw it happen.
Fuck! God damn it!
No, Peter Dinklage. I think anything's going to be elevated when you bring Peter Dinklage into the role. I feel like he is just
Peak Game of
tremendously.
Thrones era.
Oh,
Peter
exactly, 100%. And I think he is just a great actor, especially if you don't get him to do any bad British accent. Then he can really,
Yeah.
he can really sink his teeth into it.
Yeah, no, I think with his casting, it is a conscious choice to cast someone with dwarfism as well. Because, Peter Dinklage is, he's earned the role because of his immense talent.
Yes.
I'm not saying they cast him on the basis of that. I'm saying that I think it's clever.
They cast him and then understood what they could do with that. Is what you're saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think while there's never anything kind of overtly obvious about it, it's a smaller guy with so much power and so much sway that by the end of it, he's cozied up right next to the president.
Yeah.
And is essentially, as we see in the modern day scenes, can just enact a genocide because he's a hateful man.
Yeah.
And I like the idea that there's all of these incredibly powerful mutants have to essentially succumb to the wills of this man. And I don't know, I just think there's an interesting... maybe I don't want to come misconstrued at all, but there may be an interesting kind of power dynamic there in the choice.
I definitely think there is. Yeah, I definitely think there is something to be said about that. But again, Peter Dinklage, he just does a great performance, and is kind of his fascination with mutation, but not. He doesn't seem to have a hatred for it like Stryker does. He doesn't seem to have this kind of repulsion or anger towards mutants. It's more just a fascination and a sort of almost a jealousy, really.
I think the only thing they could have done better is when Trask and Stryker are in scenes together. There would have been, I think maybe they could have done some more slightly interesting things where they examine the different forms that prejudice can take. Like you say, Stryker is very much repulsed and angered by the idea, and Trask is very much more concerned with the science and what it could do for mankind, and how they shouldn't have all the power and they should get the power because they're the higher life forms or whatever in his eyes, right? Or they're not in his, he would use mutated as a derogatory term for them, essentially.
Yeah.
And I just think that, I don't know, it's interesting that they could have maybe explored that a bit cleaner, because slightly, the more tame version of prejudice and the more tame version of hatred comes from Trask, but he's able to inflict way more damage because he's smarter and more focused than Stryker is.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So I don't know. I don't think what they did is bad at all. I just think they maybe missed the mark a little bit with exploring that bit.
It sounds like you hate the movie to me.
No, I don't hate it. I will retract that I said it was flawless earlier. I think there are maybe some tighter things they could have done, but overall, it's a fucking great movie.
No movie is flawless. If you
That's like you said, yeah.
You need to stop thinking there are flawless movies on there.
Well, I've seen After Sun, so how am I expected to do so?
Many flaws. One thing I really enjoy is when they do go to the Paris Peace Summit to stop Mystique from killing Trask. The when Logan sees Stryker having his little fit on the floor and just immediately gets fucked up because of that. Just the PTSD that he hasn't experienced yet, but he has, in it really fucks up his body, because obviously the body he's in doesn't know Stryker at this point. He hasn't gone through all that traumatic shit, but the mind of him has. So it's this weird kind of head fuck situation where he doesn't quite know how to deal with it, and it really just like fucks him up, and it sends the time travel stuff all a bit crazy, and it causes him to fucking lash out and cut Kitty and stuff. I think it's all really well done. And I like the way like when he comes back around, Charles has to like basically just say he's on a bad trip, basically, with acid, which is quite good. But yeah, I really enjoy all that stuff.
That's always been a line that stuck with me. It goes, "You had really bad acid.
You're on acid." Okay.
Yeah. No, I like that as well because it does speak to it's kind of a bit of an insight into Wolverine as a character as well, because he the first thing that Kitty says to him is essentially don't get too rocky in there because it's going to be harder to hold on to you, and if you wake up, we're all fucked.
Yeah.
Or if you wake up prematurely, at least we're all fucked. And he's able to get rocky and have some scraps and have a good couple of fights, and he stays relatively calm. Like, that's kind of a normal situation for him to be in.
Yeah.
And the thing that shakes him out to his core and really does put the entire mission at risk is, just a flashbacking a painful memory that really affected him. And it's just like, I know it's interesting that that's a characterization of Wolverine, that he can cut in half as many dudes as he needs to and be completely calm as anything, but the mere sight of one bloke makes him go completely
fucks him
loopy.
up. Yeah, fucks him up completely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good work on expanding X-Men 2 and
he slashed
begrudgingly
Kitty, man. He slashed her up. Outrageous. And then I feel like Eric obviously restrained him at that point. He was like, and good on him, like, because when he started lashing out, he just went, vroom, sit down, shut up, all right?
Yeah, immediately down, yeah.
Well, you say immediately, but I feel like he waited a good few seconds before doing that, Like, he was lashing out for a little while there before he went, vroom,
What was going through Eric's mind is he saw Kitty take a few slashes, and then he was like, I could stop this. And then he remembered that time that Kitty called Juggernaut a dickhead.
And he wasn't there for, okay.
No, but he heard about it.
No, he didn't.
He heard about it afterwards.
He was too busy getting stabbed with needles by Beast.
Right? Oh, that is true, yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know. I think that's it's a fair point. He could have maybe acted up a little bit earlier, but you need it for the road cut, don't you?
You do need it for the road cut. It's fine.
So the road cut, why do you think it's a superior cut?
I just think it's better. I don't always agree with the idea of like extended cuts are better, because more doesn't always equal better, in my opinion. But in this case, it does. I just think it's
not even, is it even that much more? Like maybe an extra 20 minutes?
Well, that is more.
But yeah, but like not a huge amount. It's not like some directors fucking lamp on an hour.
No, well, they shouldn't, and they should be trialed for their crimes.
Zack Snyder.
Yes, we're all thinking of the same book. All right. I just think it's just a better version of the movie. I think the way things are cut together, the way the story's cut together, and what's added just make for a more enjoyable experience. Really.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's
and also like fucking you're gonna have Rogue in Days of Future Past, but only put her in one scene and give her no lines at all.
Yeah, fuck off.
Come on, man. What are you doing?
Nonsense.
Outrageous.
I think also like it speaks that I just think with Kitty, right, never was the right character to be there. Like, and so I just think I don't know about you, but I haven't seen the Rogue cut ever before this. I know you had, but like watching it and watching Rogue come in and take Kitty's powers and then kind of chime in and get settled in. The way Rogue just puts her hand on Logan's head.
Yeah.
And just says, Logan. And then Wolverine in the past looks up and goes, Rogue. Yeah. And it's just that, like, these two have always had a connection.
Yeah.
Like, these two have always kind of bonded over they're the kind of the cast outs of the X-Men.
Yeah.
And I just think it makes way more sense. And for that, for me, I immediately felt like, that's very comforting. That's nice. And I feel like it would always help. I mean, I know they're working with the mutants that they've got. But, I don't know. A good choice. A good narrative choice, I think. More interesting.
Definitely, yeah. And I don't know, I like them going to the X-Mansion to get Rogue and stuff. Adds an extra sense of tension. Bobby sacrifices himself, That's it's a sad moment and stuff. I like it.
It is. I like they've done Anna Paquin's hair well, finally.
Yeah.
Good rogue hair for the first time in a
It
movie.
It is a good Rogue hair, to be fair. It is.
Yeah.
Probably the best she's ever looked, really, as Rogue. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree. Same with Bobby. To be fair, they're giving him a beard. He's whichever one of the Ashmore twins it is has learned how to act.
Who's
In the
Ashmore
meantime,
twins?
he's the guy that plays Bobby. He's Sean Ashmore, I want to say.
Who's the other Ashmore twin?
I don't know. It's just another one that wasn't in the X-Men movie, so it therefore isn't that famous.
Why do I care about them then?
No, because I think in other projects he like swapped out. Like sometimes they shared roles.
So they're just the same guy?
Yeah, well they're identical. They're like, you would not be able to tell them apart, especially when they were younger.
This is outrageous. Let me look this up. Oh, God. Yeah, that's weird.
It is weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
In fact, I think they did use one of the Ashmores in the scene where Bobby gets taken over by Mystique in X-Men 1, I think, because they wanted to show like a minor
Oh, really?
off-kilter difference. Yeah, they wanted the character of Bobby to be played differently, so they just brought in his brother. I think that's true. That could be a rumor.
All right. Yeah, probably is. Yeah.
Yeah, it probably is nonsense, but I've read it somewhere, and that makes it true.
I really enjoy all the stuff with Mystique, the Paris Peace Accords, okay? I like... First of all, I like it when she's, like, fucking... like, seducing that, like, Vietnamese general or whatever, and the way she, like, just fucking pins him to the wall with her foot against his throat, and just like, they're like... When you see that full angle on it, you're like, fucking hell, how is that possible? You know?
Yeah.
Insane stuff. I really enjoy the way, and I think both of them play this well, both the guy who plays the Vietnamese general and Jennifer Lawrence, but when he is outed in that room and has that just like that Jennifer Lawrence smile on his face, that Mystique smile on his face, and then the transformation between the two, I think is good stuff. I've always I'm kind of just rushing through some little things here, but I've always just loved the way like Eric goes to shoot her, and then obviously Charles tackles him, but then he still fucking manages to shoot her using his powers.
Just controls the bullet.
Still, the way
it's such a good shot as well.
The way like the gun falls out of his hands, but he's still able to shoot the gun with his powers, and then you follow in the bullet as it like goes out the window and falls down, and then she gets shot through the leg, and him dragging her by the bullet back towards him. Like, can you imagine the pain that would cause, man? Oh, brutal.
Yeah, it's fucked. I tell you what, that is one thing. We will talk about the Hank and Mystique scene in a minute, but like on that, I just think that there's a good difference between them as characters, and like Magneto in this movie Magneto's always been known because he's no holds barred, brutal guy.
Yeah,
right.
He'll do what needs to get done. You know.
Yeah, and he won't really care about people's fallout from it.
Yeah.
But what I really like is that Eric is, because he's younger, he's even more brutal than he was, and I think that this movie really makes use of the fact that they have an older version of a character and a younger version of the character, and they draw kind of parallels between them.
Yeah.
Quite often, like, you've got Eric in the future kind of daydreaming away a little bit about how petty their feud seems now in comparison to the genocide.
Yeah.
And like how, to have some of those precious years back with his best friend. And then like we cut to him, like you just say, we kind of cut back to him when he's a younger man, and his best friend is dump tackling him while he's trying to use every tool at his disposal to shoot one person that he's like really close and has a good bond with.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't know, I like that because he's younger, he has kind of more of a one-track mind, and it's more sloppy because it's his fuck-up that keeps the Sentinel program going on.
It is,
like,
it's
the blood on the floor, yeah.
He even admits that at one point as well.
Yeah.
Like, Mystique
I think
calls
she
him out
says,
on it
whose fault was that,
yeah.
or something, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, fair one. That is my bad, yeah.
But it's a good thing, because he's not, it makes him, it's less nuanced in the way that it makes him wrong about stuff. Like, before, you've kind of always seen a point to Magneto, but this movie is saying like, no, we're all trying to get the same mission accomplished. This is a scenario. This is a rare scenario where being less of a prick is more helpful.
And the scene where it's like it's cut between older Eric and Bobby breaking into the mansion, and younger Eric breaking into whatever government building and getting like his helmet and stuff back. It's That's so well done. The way that's all
Yeah.
cut together.
I was watching. That was when I was like, no, this cut's so much better. This
Yeah.
cut because like you don't get any of that in.
No.
You get him stealing his helmet back.
Yeah, you get the past version of it, but that's all just one like continuous scene. In the
Yeah,
other
but the
version.
way they've edited it and cut it together, and I just again, it's kind of the making use of the older younger, right? The helmet for Magneto is the symbol for him cutting the X-Men off. Like in the last First Class movie, he used it to stop Charles from entering his mind and controlling him. And then when you cut forward, he's working with an X-Men ex-student, and like they're working together for a common goal. And it's just like we love a bit of character growth for our favorite Nazi hunter.
That's great. Speaking of which, he takes a moment to look at the coin as well.
Yes,
That's good.
yeah. Fucking,
Weird
My
that they
word.
kept that coin.
yeah, well, never know what these shady government's dealings are.
True.
Probably want it for a museum.
Their own little private museum, though. that only
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can go
So
to.
they can come in and look at it and go, "God, weren't they the good old days?"
Anyway, Hank and Mystique.
Yes. So
Hot,
yeah,
right?
Nicholas Hoult gained random sex appeal for a minute there.
He always had some sex appeal.
No, but when he
was
turns into
Tony.
Beast and he's like, "Oh, my animalistic urges," I'm like, "Whew."
You can't play Tony and have no sex appeal.
I think Tony's more of a creep than a.
He is a
sex
creep,
appeal
but he
guy.
still had sex appeal.
I guess. I get. All right, fine. But I'm not playing Hank. I've never seen him have sex appeal as Hank, which is
Hank-
weird because Kelsey Grammer fucks and you know it.
Kelsey Grammer fucks so hard, man. All right, but yeah, that
Late for class, are we, Logan? I was just fucking.
that Hank and Mystique scene, it's fucking hot, man. It's hot. Don't know what else to say, but it's hot. I like it.
It's good, man. It's fucking. Yeah, I don't know. It's nice. It's a way for them to touch base and re-examine because I thought it was largely dropped from X-Men First Class. Their kind of sort of budding romance, and that was
Yeah.
a highlight of First Class for me. I really enjoyed that kind of characterization for both of them. And in this one, you've got way more confident Mystique, and I would say way more shelled in on himself, Hank.
Yeah,
And the kind of roles have flipped a little bit. And she says, like, the last thing you said to me was that no one will ever, like, I don't know if it's an attractive thing. No one will ever find me attractive like this. Is that still what you think? And he's a hypocrite because he goes for her to be intimate and then is like, I still think the public would find you a bit ugly. And I'm like, you're a fucking weasel, dude. Like, this is objectively the sexiest gymnast blue woman you've ever seen in your life.
and also, what the fuck are you doing? Just keep your mouth shut, you idiot. Like,
Yeah.
you're there. Seal the deal, my guy. What are you doing? All right.
You can take the horse to water, you can't make it drink, Nathan, all right? It's unfortunately what it is.
Yeah, they should have fucked.
They should have fucked. They should have fucked.
They should have
I do like that he wakes up the next morning and just like Mystique has fucking battered Cerebro in.
Yeah.
And Hank just goes, I fucked up, basically.
I forgot that was Mystique. So when I first saw Charles like walking towards Cerebro, I was like, "Why is Charles limping? Did I miss something?" And then,
Oh, nice.
and then obviously they transformed. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, that makes sense." There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
What I'll say quickly, because we can talk about the ending in a minute.
Oh, can we?
We can. I will allow it to happen.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So well.
I enjoy Eric rewiring robots with train tracks.
I do too. I think it's fucking. Again, my favorite things in these movies are when Eric does some cool shit with his powers that you wouldn't think to do.
Does it make any sense? I don't know, but
No, probably not, but who cares? It works.
Yeah.
Well, no, but then I would think it would be cooler if he rewired them, but like he didn't rewire them. He just kind of metal rodded through them, and then he had full control of the limbs of the Sentinels and like the buttons on them and stuff. Because he's
I
can
think he
control those
rewired
anyway.
I think he rewired them.
Yeah, he did.
Because he was
makes
like-
less sense.
He was studying the plans and stuff, and
Yeah.
then he rewired them because then he's like controlling them at the end. He says to one of them like, "Do what you are made to do." You know?
Yeah, I was like, are they voice activated?
I don't know. I guess they are. Now.
He's just really lucky that Sentinel
Yeah.
happened to be programmed to turn around and start shooting people.
Don't worry about it.
I think the vibes of this movie, I think it's a really pretty looking movie.
I think it looks good too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very.
I
The
think it
monastery scenes,
The what?
The kind of the monastery they're kind of held up in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's the stained glass window and how they use that to light the Charles's meeting, and they make the stained glass this kind of fractured sort of what we saw Charles's powers look like in First Class.
Yeah.
But they use the setting to do it. That's incredible.
The way that scene is shot, and it's like all very like out of focus and blurry and mindfucky, is very cool. I enjoy that quite a lot.
It's a brilliant fucking scene. It's really well written. Just great dynamic between.
In my head, Charles saying, I don't want your future, was always to older Charles, but that's not the case at all. That's like, he says that to Logan. I was like, oh, I thought that was during that bit. Weird how the mind works.
Oh, speaking of things he says to Logan.
We'll get to that, all right? Don't worry. We'll get to that during little things, okay?
Okay. I don't think I have any little things. I'm sure I'll think of something. But yeah, other than that as well, I think they make quite a good visual contrast between the 70s and the dystopian future. Like, dystopian future is very like purple and dark and stained glass blurred and all of this stuff. Whereas the 70s, they put like some sort of grain on it that makes it feel like older. Like, and they use those kind of 70s film camera effects, like when you see like videographers filming the first appearance of the mutants and stuff like that.
Was this shot on film? Had to have been, right?
No, I think I don't know, maybe it looks to me more like they shot it on digital and made it look like film.
Let me have a look.
Because I don't think you get that kind of, all the dystopian stuff, I'd be amazed if that was shot on film.
Yeah, it was shot on digital. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, I just like for the 70s one, they've obviously have to pay quite a lot of attention. They've made it feel quite, I don't know,
because the 70s stuff does look like it was shot on film.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
and I think that's quite a good. There's a good visual difference between them. Obviously, they learnt a trick from Matthew Vaughn when they were like, maybe these movies could look good as well.
Yeah,
as well. And X-Men 2, to be fair, X-Men 2 look good. But yeah, no, I just think it's nice. You've got like in the 70s sequences, you've got like light. The rooms are mostly lit from like lights creeping through the window, so it all feels kind of musty and kind of stagnated a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I don't know, it's nice. It's good. It's a good visual difference between those two locations and settings. Yeah. What do you make of the ending?
What do I make of what? Sorry.
The ending of this movie.
Wolverine gets put out of action pretty quickly, doesn't he?
Doesn't he?
Yeah. And what I noticed as well is like Wolverine doesn't have much to do in this movie.
He's a guide. He's a humble tour
He is
guide.
kind of like a guide. He has like he has like 2 scenes where he actually uses his fucking claws and powers. Like he actually uses his claws to fight someone. Once at the beginning with those goons, and then later towards the end of the movie when he has just the quick showdown with Magneto. But other than that, I don't think there's any other scenes where he really gets to have any like action sequences.
I don't think so. No, a lot of the action in this movie is they run into a room and which I quite like that it's kind of measured on that a little bit.
I do
because it makes the ending feel better, and also their pursuit in this movie is not to fight people; it's to try and stop an act of violence. So it would feel very weird. I don't agree with the complaint, but it's very much people's common complaint on The Last of Us 2, where Ellie kills 1,000 people to not kill one person.
First of all, that's the entire point. That's the entire fucking point.
Yeah.
Oh!
I shouldn't have brought it up. This one's on me. But it's that. It would. I think. While I disagree with it in there, if they had done this, if it was like a million sequences of these cool mutants in the 70s just beating people up and using their powers and being like, "I'll get out of the Pentagon, no problem. I'll laser eye all these cunts and kill them all," and then they go, "Raven, we must be better than them." Like, it would feel a bit disingenuous.
Yeah, it would. That's true. It would.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Wolverine gets taken out of circulation pretty quick. It's not really even a main fight. Just Eric has a bit of a fit with some Sentinels, and then that stops.
He does have the moment earlier in the movie where like he goes to grab Wolverine's paper and he just like says, "Fuck off, that's mine," and like puts his claws through it. And then Eric goes, "Imagine if they were made of metal." Ha 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 ha. And
Other X-Men movies.
and then later in the movie, which I enjoy, when they all go into the fucking the like display at the White House or whatever, and he walks through the metal detector. And it's fine. And he's just like, what the fuck?
It's a good little moment.
That's a good little bit. But then Eric fucking obviously like grabs that like steel rod or from the concrete or whatever and just like fucking stabs it through his body. And he's just like, bitch, you'll go away. All right,
Yeah.
just
You've got enough
here.
metal in you now.
Just like fucking flings him into the river. Horrible.
I always laugh at that shot. It's very goofy the way he just kind of. It looks like I would shrink a PNG on a screen in an edit.
Or just
like,
the way he flies away.
He flies off, but he kind of doesn't look like he's going anywhere. He just looks like he's getting smaller on the screen.
Okay.
It is a bit of a goofy moment, I think, but I'll forgive it. But yeah, no. What I like with the ending, obviously, Charles does convince Raven to not take the shot. And I like that earlier on.
Yeah, the ending. Yes, that's what we were talking about. No, the ending's very good. I think, again, the way it cuts back and forth between the two timelines, tension is very high. The Sentinels are getting closer and closer to taking out to stopping them and everything like that. All comes down to the wire. And you're always like, oh, that's a bit convenient. But shut up, it's a movie, you should.
Yeah.
It's good. I think it's all done very well. And it's quite heartwarming in a way to like having that sequence where Mystique decides not to take the shot and to be better and stuff. I think it is all very well done, really.
I think it's very well done as well. I understand this is not the point of the movie, and I love that the movie does make a comment on how Raven has always been manipulated and controlled, even by Charles, the nice guy TM in her life. Right? It's and he says, whatever choice you make is completely and utterly your own, but please consider the choices before you make them. Whilst I get it, that's a nice moment and it's a good character development for them both. That's not the moment to have that moment. The entirety of the future of planet Earth resides on Raven not killing one dude.
You have to be better, Lawrence. You have to be a better person, okay?
I know, but it's the fact that like Hank's like, take her out. And he's like, no, and I'm like, you really should. She's a gun error or a finger slip away from the worst thing possible.
But I give you this, it worked.
Yeah. It did work. It did.
So,
but he's lucky.
Well, but still, it worked.
100% is better odds than 50%. Is my point.
Still, it worked. So, egg on your face. Okay.
Egg on my face, indeed. Yeah. To be fair, that is right.
There you go.
What a clean slate that they had. What a clean opportunity to do whatever story they wanted to tell at the end of this movie.
What do you mean?
Jean's back, Scott's back.
Oh, I don't think this was ever intended as, and now we can do more of these. I think this was always intended as a goodbye, a last check-in before the new guys take off, really.
Yeah. And, yeah, I don't know. I just it's fine. It allows for like, hey, we don't know anything about the past now because Wolverine doesn't know anything about the past. We don't know unless these characters tell us something. We're just led to believe that very uneventful 50 years, or they've just been. You could tell us any of those X-Men stories.
It's strange because I realized this while watching it yesterday, but it's an entirely different timeline now, and this is touched upon in and I think it's in the road cut. I don't think it's in the theatrical cut, but it is touched upon that like Bishop and Sunspot and Kitty and the mutants in the future, they're fighting for a world where they might not even exist.
One of my
spoiler alert, they don't. They're not fucking here, Bobby's with Rogue. Fundamental changes have happened here, It's like a lot of stuff has changed. Their world is gone. So like And also, this is strange to think about. Like, Wolverine is an entirely different bloke.
Yeah,
There was a version of Logan. There was a version of Wolverine in this universe, in this timeline, who one day went to sleep and then woke up the next morning and was an entirely different bloke.
Yeah,
that's fucking weird, man.
It's nuts, and I like that it has consequences. I like that it's not a happy ending for everyone, and I really like that they included that scene where Eric is saying it's risky. You're like, and like Bishop and the Sunspot and the other people, they're all saying like, I think they literally say you're asking us to lay our lives down for a future we might not even be a part of. And Charles is like, yeah, I fucking am. Yeah. Like, you're X-Men, dude. Like, come on.
It made me laugh when Bishop's like, my people need to vote. And Charles goes, they just did. I'm like, all right, I think you're a little bit too close to this situation.
That was rude.
I feel like you've influenced the vote here somehow. I don't think that's... I think you should be removed from the room and everyone should have their say privately, okay? In fact, everyone put on Magneto's helmet, okay?
Yeah. and tell me what they think.
And then have your say, okay?
Oh, God, yeah, that's funny. No, but I think it was, you're probably right, it was intended to be a swan song farewell.
And it is, and I think it works well if you don't think about it too much. You know,
I do too. Yeah,
it's a nice scene and stuff. You have fucking. I do genuinely like the moment of fucking Charles being like, Logan, shouldn't you be teaching history, you fucking cuck, or whatever?
Yeah, that's what he says verbatim. Yeah.
And I like seeing James Marsden again and his bad glasses. What's going on there, man?
He's like, get your hands off my girl. I'm like, so he clearly wasn't that different of a Logan.
Get your hands off my girl in my fucking bad futuristic Oakleys or whatever I'm wearing.
Is that what he said?
Awful, but consistent to the run of awful looks we've had for Cyclops. So.
That is true. Yeah, he's been faithful to looking terrible.
Yeah,
all the time.
I like all that stuff, and I like the look. Again, they do immediately fuck this up. Okay, they are very.
I just want to live here. Can we take a week off and just live in this space for a bit?
We can't. We're timed down to the week, Lawrence. We can't take a week off. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's so very funny that like they've set up this. They've been so clear and like this is James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender's future. This is the future of this timeline. This is where it ends up. Next movie. Whoops.
Yeah. We fucked it again.
We fucked the timeline again. Oh, hilarious stuff. Anyway, don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, we'll worry about it in not next week, the week after next.
Or the week after that. Are we doing some little things?
I haven't got any, but I'd love to hear yours.
I have a few little things. These are just off the top of the dome little things. I enjoy seeing is it not Nathan Summers? That's their son. What's his brother called? Alex Summers.
Alex Summers.
Havoc. I enjoy seeing Havoc for a moment in Vietnam. He's like, look at me, I'm in Vietnam.
Look at me, I wasn't invited back.
He was there.
No, but he weren't like to, you know.
Yeah,
he went, the new X-Men movie? I was the main character in the last one. Hell yeah. Oh, I see.
It's because he's in Vietnam.
He is in Vietnam.
And there's that weird little toad guy. How the fuck did he get a job in a kitchen? Who gave him that job?
Yeah. Oh, don't be mean. I'm sure he's got nice personal hygiene.
Come on, man. You can't put a little frog man in the kitchen.
No, I guess, but you can clean a frog and they'd be lovely and clean. And I'm sure this man showers.
And do you want a frog to handle your food, Lawrence? Just tell me that. All right. If I served you a delicious meal and then told you it was made by a frog, okay?
Yeah.
Not Ratatouille style. It was made by a frog's hand. All right.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. I would probably not enjoy that meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't want the frog to make me dinner.
All right. Well, there you go. So, hypocrite, thy name is you.
Your next little thing.
That was the post-credit scene of Amazing Spider-Man 2. Do you remember?
I do remember that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the post-credits of this one? I didn't watch it.
So there was one post-credit which is exclusive to the road cut. So egg on your face, you missed that.
Should have watched it.
What is missed that? I'll never tell you. No, I'll tell you. It's really not that. It's just basically it's back to Magneto's jail cell underneath the Pentagon. And a little meal gets dropped through the slot again, but it's Peter Dinklage in there, and he's got like long hair and a beard now to show us that time has passed.
Oh, that's quite fun. I do like that.
Yeah, and then it's Apocalypse.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. The kid Apocalypse.
Well, he's younger, but he's not a kid. He's just a young man.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Okay.
Building a pyramid. Hello, Lawrence. Welcome back to Nathan Nitpicks a Thing. This is my famous semi-reoccurring segment where I nitpick a thing, which is largely inconsequential. In X-Men First Class, Wolverine has a cameo, okay?
Yeah.
Where Charles and Eric go to recruit Wolverine, and he very clearly says to them, and I quote, because I do quote, he says, "Go fuck yourself," is what he says. Okay?
Yes.
And in this movie, that scene is referenced because Charles says to Logan, he says, "Actually, I do remember you. We came to you looking for help, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you told us back then. Fuck off." Why don't you fuck off, all right? Because that's not what you fucking said, okay? This has annoyed me for 10 years. I remember watching this movie in the cinema and being like, that's not what he fucking said, okay? Get it right.
It's such an easy thing to get right and such a hard thing to get wrong.
You just have to watch the movie, okay?
Yeah. By this point, you could have loaded it up on your phone, on the set, on the day, and gone, no, that was wrong, actually. Let's just do another line. Let's do another read of that.
And even if you want to say, like, oh, it's been 10 years, maybe he fucking remembered it wrong. Why?
Yeah.
You've just opened up this box of complicated worms.
Yeah.
Why do that? Okay? Just get the fucking quote right. Okay?
It's a strange choice. It's a very strange... I don't even think it's a choice. I think they just fucked it up, really. Because, I don't think there's... For 1 second, they're being like, well, it's been 10 years. Because why make me think harder?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Why add this layer of complication to it? Why have to then justify it when you could just get it right in the first place?
Yeah, that's exactly right, yeah.
Stupid.
Right, do you want to do some recommendations?
No, I want to do one more little thing.
A nitpicker thing, or...?
Kind of.
Okay.
It's a kind of a criticism. It's something I think is dumb. Okay. Wolverine is thrown into the bottom of some river in Washington, D.C. Okay.
Yeah.
I assume the American Patriotic River, whatever it's called.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's the one. Yeah. And then he is fished out by Stryker, and then Stryker is like, well, I'll take him to my facility and we'll do X-Men and we'll give him metal claws and everything. But then it's Mystique. And then that's just...
Yeah.
And this is the crime of later movies, I guess. But then it's just never touched on again. And it is actually Stryker who had him at the... What? Why is it Mystique? Why does she want him? Okay. And then why does he then end up at Stryker's facility anyway? Okay.
Mystique doesn't know who this man is or care as well.
Exactly. Why does she care about him?
Throughout the whole movie, I think they see each other maybe once. And that's in a busy room and she's busy trying to not get shot. Like, I don't really know why she would care.
She wouldn't. It's so stupid.
Oh, silly business.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a crime of later movies, but it's very indicative of the let's set something up.
I feel like that was just Brian's his favorite thing to do. He just loved to end a movie with someone's eyes glowing yellow to indicate that they were in fact Mystique.
Yeah, it was Mystique all along.
It was Mystique all along. Yeah, the original Agatha.
Wicked. All right, do you want to do some recommendations?
No, Lawrence, I want to do more little things. Okay?
You've got more little things.
No, I don't. I'm okay.
This is the part of the show where we recommend some stuff to each other and to ourselves. We can basically...
Oh, fuck.
We can talk about anything we've watched, read, or listened to, just anything we've experienced in the past week that we would love to share with the lovely loyal listeners and ourselves. It's recommendation time. Nathan, would you like to go first or would you like me to go first?
I like you to go first because I don't have one. So I'm going to look on my phone and see what I can find.
Okay, I will say you should listen to this one, otherwise I can call you sexist and it would be a valid argument.
I probably won't though, but okay.
No, I watched the movie called She Said. Very Spotlight-esque.
He said, she said.
No, just She Said.
Okay.
It's not important to hear what the he said in this movie, Nathan.
Wow, who's sexist now?
No, I'm just saying.
Wow.
Right? It's a movie that spotlights women, and I think that's a good thing because I'm not sexist like you. Right? No, yeah. So I watched the movie She Said. It's very Spotlight-esque in way of its writing. It's very much a story about like journalists trying to break a case, and the specific case they're breaking in She Said is the articles that exposed Harvey Weinstein for his horrible kind of wrongdoings, and it was the couple of articles that kind of kickstarted the Me Too movement, and it's a really good movie. It's Carey Mulligan and some other people I'm not certain of. Andre Braugher stops by to be like the chief editor of the paper, and it's it's just a really good movie. It's very gripping, very, very interesting, and you're always, obviously, you know how it ends. You know that Harvey Weinstein obviously ends up in jail. But it's a very good movie. The way they use like phone calls in it, and because there's voice appearances from people impersonating Harvey Weinstein, Donald Trump. Like there's good voice actors in this that are over the phone, and they create this kind of omnipresent, oppressive feel. And it's a very clever movie. It's very well shot. Good movie. Go and watch it. It's really interesting, especially if you want to kind of know a little bit more about how that Me Too movement came to start as well, which is, it's a very interesting watch. What are you recommending?
Wow, Lawrence, that sounds like a great recommendation.
Such a prick.
I am going to recommend that everyone watch the movie Deadpool, because we'll be talking about it next week.
You're such a prick. That is so lazy, but you know what? It took him... I'll have cut all of that, but I would not normally let this slide, but because it took him a good 5 minutes to think of that...
I can't think of anything else. I haven't done anything, man.
But then you can spin that. Nathan recommends taking a moment for having peace and serenity and being alone with one's thoughts.
I don't think that's what I said at all.
No, but if you haven't watched anything or done anything, you could say, I recommend a chill week. See, I'm the spin king.
Okay. I don't like this.
No, go and watch Deadpool. We'll be talking about that next week. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. If you've enjoyed the show, please feel free to leave us a little 5-star review. That'd be very much appreciated. You can also follow us on Twitter at Another Happy Pod. You can suggest a topic for us to check out there. But we are locked into X-Mania because next week, as we just said, we are going to be checking out this.
Hey, yeah! Oh, my recommendation is to follow me on Threads, because I'm trying to use Twitter less. So follow me on Threads, okay?
Follow Nathan on Threads, everyone.
They'll be down below.
If you feel so inclined, we have a Ko-Fi link, which you can also find down below in the show notes if you want to help us out with the running of both of the shows. Zero pressure. Everyone is always welcome to enjoy the episodes for free. But if you still want to help out, the most useful thing you can do is share both the shows with a friend. And speaking of both shows, Nathan, we have another podcast as well, don't we?
Yeah, we do, Lawrence. It's called Still Got Legs. It's our Doctor Who rewatch podcast where every week we watch and discuss an episode of Doctor Who completely at random. We'll just take one from the back catalogue and go, let's talk about that one this week. So if that sounds fun, then give it a listen. You'll be lied to, but still. Give it a listen.
yeah, that promise will not be fulfilled. But, I mean, you can pick at random and listen to us talk about them, yeah?
So I guess it works out that way. But yeah, go listen. Or don't. I'm not your dad.
It's true, he's not your dad. Right, goodbye, everyone. We'll see you next Friday at 10 a.m.
Bye.
Bye.